that these delays are crippling county governments. The Council of Governors sharply criticized the National Assembly's decision to propose a 20 billion shillings reduction in the equitable share, claiming that such a move would undermine service delivery and push counties to the brink of collapse. And as our reporter Caroline Muthoni details, the governors have termed the move by Parliament as a direct affront to devolution, warning that they threaten the constitutional framework that underpins devolved governance.
We call upon the Controller of Budget to stop being a bottleneck to this process and ensure counties access their funds in a timely manner.
County governors have sounded an early warning to the national government that staff in counties risk going for Christmas seasons without a coin as a cash crunch continue to bite, with some county staff having had to go for 3 months without pay. According to the COG, in the next 30 days, counties will shut down operations completely if monies owed, now totaling to 63.6 billion for the months of October and November, are not disbursed immediately. Currently, counties have been left to offer critical services as some stay home with the biting cash crunch. COG Chair Ahmed Abdullahi, also Wajir Governor, told a press conference after an extraordinary Council of Governors meeting in Nairobi that it was unfair that businesses continue for the national government courtesy of past supplementary budget, yet for counties it has ground to a halt.
And we're saying, is it fair that life moves on for national government because they went ahead and did a supplementary appropriation based on a dollar that has not been amended yet, right? We cannot do the same unless we have a carrot that has been assented to. I think these are some of the things that we need to look at, even going forward, so that this kind of stalemate does not hold the country to a grind.
Consequently, governors say they cannot continue being at the mercy of commercial banks as they constantly borrow to pay salaries and repay their overpriced interest as they await on the national government to disburse what should be rightfully and constitutionally allocated to them by 15th of every month.
Ni mpango ambao unatugharimu pesa nyingi sana kwa sababu tunalipa fedha ambazo tunazozichukua tunalipa pamoja na interest kubwa, na kwa hivyo hatuna uhakika hata kama hizi pesa zitaendelea kuja. Kwa hivyo itakuwa ni vigumu sana kwa serikali za county kuchukua mpango ule, na ndipo mwenyekiti akasema kwamba tukifika pale na kukwame katika haya mazungumzo itatubidi tu kufunga na kuwaomba wafanyikazi wetu waende nyumbani wakajitetee kule mbele.
Governors now wanting all unpaid amount to be settled before a full-blown crisis erupt in counties, leading to a total shutdown. On matters of health, the governors also say the slow registration of the new Social Health Insurance Fund, SHA, has been hampered by lack of resources, saying availability would also have the community health promoters spearhead the drive and soar up the numbers.
For the SHA registration to succeed, first of all, we need to pay the CHPs. How do we pay when there's no money? We also need to pay the people who are in charge of our facilities. Some counties here are yet to pay salaries for the last 3 months as a result of the delay in disbursement. In many of these counties, we need to get to where the masses are to have them registered. We have governors here who manage counties that are over 50,000 square kilometers. So the question of logistics, the question of fuel, all these things come into play.
The COGs have also demanded that monies owed to them under the defunct NHIF, now totaling to about 9 billion shillings, should be released to them, noting that hospitals lack medicine as KEMSA is not ready to advance them to more credit because of 3.8 billion debt, which they urge should be sorted if 9 billion debt is paid.
How can we be able to pay KEMSA if we are still owed 9 billion by the de facto NHIF authority? Because if you look at what is owed to KEMSA by counties put together, it is a meager 3.8 billion as compared to 9.1 that is owed by NHIF. In fact, we are at a point where we are saying, why don't you just cash off offset that money that is owed to KEMSA, NHF should pay KEMSA so that we can continue collecting drugs and pay us the balance. It will be easier for us. But all the time it is blamed on counties. We have not paid KEMSA. We are not having drugs in the facilities. While in actual sense, it is the efforts of all those other agencies to frustrate counties that has contributed to this. That is our position.
Muthoni Caroline reporting for EBN News.
Thank you, Caroline. Now, the Anglican Church of Kenya have called out the government for being dishonest after they dismissed the statement by Catholic bishops, terming it misleading, erroneous, and false. The church, in a 2-page statement, clarified that it supports the stand taken by the Catholic Church on various issues facing the country. Sapit added that they take great exception to reports in some sections of the media which seem to indicate that SEK does not agree with the Catholic bishops for calling out the government. He said the bishops have spoken the minds of Kenyans and faithfully expressed the truth as things are on the ground. In a strongly worded statement to Newsroom, Sapit said the political class and those in government need to calm down from their high horses, listen for once, rather than seemingly perpetuate the commonplace culture of impunity. The Archbishop further said the most vulnerable Kenyans have experienced inhumane evictions with no viable alternative to their already precarious living arrangements. Now, the bottom of your screen should be government is dishonest. I know you're wondering what's the blank space for, so government is dishonest. But still on the clergy, a Nakuru lobby group has slammed the statement by the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, terming it as erroneous and misleading to the public. Speaking in Nakuru, the group blamed the bishops for disregarding significant progress made by government on issues related to the Social Health Authority and University Education Funding Model. The chairman, Kenya Internally Displaced Persons Organization, Peter Tena, expressed the satisfaction of the transition from NHIF to SHA, adding that it will go a long way in ensuring that all Kenyans have health cover through the universal health coverage. While noting the ongoing political intolerance in the country, the group called on the political class to tone down on their political utterances that might divide the country.
Mambo ya NHIF kubadilishwa kwenda mpaka kwa ule mfumo mwingine. Je, ilianzishwa lini? Imechukua muda wa miaka ngapi? Kanisa wamelalamika, si ni kweli? Na Wakenya sisi wote tumelalamika kwa mfano. Je, wakati ule mpango ulizinduliwa na Ministry ya Health, umechukua siku ngapi ndio tulalamike? Swali tu. Tumelalamika kuwa labda ule mchakato wote unaoendelea. Tayari serikali imechukua hatua, sikiza, yule ambaye alikuwa pale tayari amewekwa kwa compulsory leave ya 90 days. Kumaanisha serikali kuna pahali imeona. Si ni kweli? Haya, utanilaumu na already nimechukua hatua. Nafikiri kwa kanisa la Catholic wamekuja kwa hilo jambo kisiasa, lakini hawakuja kama washauri wa serikali. Wamekuja na hatua na wamesema, wewe ni muongo, wewe ni mukora, na wewe ni mwizi, na wewe hustahili. Wamecondemn already. How can you correct somebody and already you have condemned him? Kanisa lingeweza kushauri serikali, na kwa sababu kanisa la Katoliki lina tajriba ya miaka mingi sana, ushauri wangepatia serikali uko wapi? Vota serikali bado inasemekana kuwa ati serikali inaongea uongo. Kanisa lenyewe shule zao wanatulipisha sawia na serikali. Hizi pesa ni za matoleo. Ingelikuwa kanisa hizi zote zikate katikati school fees, kwa sababu zinapata kutoka kwa wafadhili. Tunastahili serikali yote bring down politics ili tukue na utendaji kazi. Na kwa sababu cabinet ministers na principal secretaries wamesha andika ule the performance contract, tunataka kuona serikali ambayo hata haijui Sunday, hata ijui Saturday ili iweze kurecover the 2 years tumepoteza katika siasa.
Now, the ruling party UD officials and other Kenya Kwanza leaders have urged the people of Embu and Mount Kenya East region in general to support the government of the day to enjoy the fruits of a government. Led by the UDA Secretary General Hassan Omar, the leaders said the government is keen to fulfill its manifesto and campaign promises, dismissing claims that the government is unpopular. Omar told the residents of Mount Kenya East to support their son, the Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki, saying he's poised to succeed President William Ruto after his term in 2032.
Watu wakijipanga, William Ruto hana sababu isipokuwa kutolea kisigino Kindiki, alafu huko mbele baada ya Kindiki na sisi pia tunajipanga na wengine. Lakini ni mipango yenu, shikilieni, usibanduke. Hamwezi mkapata fursa ya Mungu kama hiyo mkaitupa kwa kutojipanga. Mungu amewapa, nyinyi chungeni, na sisi tutawachunga, na sisi tutashirikiana, na mbele tutafika. Na hii mahali tunaita Mount Kenya na sehemu yote ya Kenya yatajumlishwa, na manake mimi najua wale viongozi tuko nao ndani ya Kenya Kwanza ni waadilifu. Kila mtu atahusishwa katika serikali ya Kenya Kwanza.
Sisi tunasema namna hii, come what may what, as the leadership of this country, we are going to remain in this government. We are going to support the President of the Republic of Kenya and his deputy to deliver their mandate for the remaining 4 years. 3 years ambayo imebaki, ili tuweze kuwa na nchi ambayo iko sawa. Na tunajua ya kwamba katika siasa hakuna wakati kutakosa msunguko kidogo hapa na pale, but we know our leaders, wale wako pale juu, wako na nia njema ya kufanya kazi sawasawa, kazi safi katika watu wetu wa Kenya yote mahali ambao wamekaa.
Kwa hivyo hiyo miaka 3 imebaki. Kazi yetu ni kushikilia Mheshimiwa Rais, kushikilia deputy wake Kithure Kindiki, kuhakikisha maendeleo imefika hapa Embu. Tumekubali hivyo watu wa Embu? Tumekubali. Na tunasema viongozi wale wameanza kuleta vita Embu County na siasa baya ya Embu County. Embu County are peace loving people. Sisi si watu wakuwa hatuna hata adabu mbele ya wageni. Sisi ni watu wangwana. Kwa hivyo mwache kutupotosha. Yule ambaye amechoka akae kando, sisi tuendelee na nini? Na kazi. Na tunajua serikali kubwa ya William Ruto iko na mambo mingi inatuletea. Soko tuko na 8 ambazo zinajengwa sasa hivi. Soko 8. Moja ikiwa kubwa sana pale Embu ya 800 million.
The Elimu Bora Working Group has urged the government to extend the current university semester to recover the time lost during the ongoing lecturers' strike, which has entered its 4th week with no resolution in sight. The group, a coalition of civil society organizations advocating for the right to education in Kenya, expressed concern over the impact of the strike on students and parents, noting that the disruption has caused significant financial and academic setbacks.
Wishing to let you know that in terms of the strikes that are going on, negotiations are going on with the unions, and we are hoping that we'll reach a possible solution very, very soon. More University is a case in point, and there's quite a number of challenges there, but we have put in place a program of ensuring that we have it in a sustainable mode. We have come up with a strategy to deal with the issues that are facing it, and we'll be updating you once those programs or those strategies are concretized. So I want to just say that in the education sector, we are doing everything that we can to stabilize the sector and ensure that our children are able to study with certainty, and want to bring hygiene into the education sector. It is not fair that students go to the university, for example, and stay for 9 years in the process of doing their degrees. That is very, very unfair, and so we are getting to the root of the challenges that the universities face, and we are going to be able to get long-term and lasting solutions to it. That is our pledge.
Now, the State Department for Livestock Development has asked Kenyans to let the vaccination of 22 million cattle against foot and mouth disease and 50 million sheep and goats against pest ruminants. Speaking during a press statement in Mombasa, Secretary Administration at the State Department, Dr. Joshua Chepchieng, said that the control and management of livestock diseases is by way of treatment and vaccination, which is the global scientific protocol. Chepchieng noted that the rolling out of livestock vaccinations in the country is aimed at controlling and eradicating livestock diseases that have caused and continued to cause great economic losses, not only to livestock-dependent communities, but the national economy.
And we are having a statement in reaction to allegations made by Kenyans. Some Kenyans say it in social media or through press statements about the vaccination of the 22. We intend to vaccinate 22 million cows in Kenya. So we deny the statement. We deny the fact that this vaccination is harmful. It is not harmful at all. It is for good intentions.
We are currently producing 13 vaccines, and the vaccines that have been mentioned that have been proclaimed by the government in terms of control, that is foot and mouth and PPR. We are the ones who are producing these two vaccines. And for foot and mouth disease vaccine, because this is the one that has raised a lot of issues, I want also to mention that in Africa, we are the leading vaccine manufacturer for foot and mouth disease. And this vaccine, we are not just producing for the country, but we are also producing for the whole of our region and Africa as a whole. Currently, we are distributing this vaccine to more than 9 countries in Africa, and now we have gone to Middle East. So that shows the faith in the kind of product that we are using. I want to go a little bit to history and mention that this is the vaccine that has helped us control foot and mouth disease for the last 60 years. And so it shows how effective it is. 1, because of its efficacy. 2, because of its relevance to the local circulating strains.
It is extremely important for the Kenyan public to know that vaccination of animals is historical. It was done before independence, it was done after independence, and I believe even governments beyond here will do it, because you cannot control viral diseases caused by viruses. You cannot control it without vaccination.
On top of the economic losses it causes, like foot and mouth disease, it devastates the dairy sector in terms of reduced milk production. In addition, to control the disease, there is a imposition of movement controls, quarantines, that disrupts markets. So you can see the consequences of an outbreak of foot and mouth disease.
Chaos erupted at Kirinyaga County Assembly chambers between two opposing sides on the plan to remove the current majority leader Daniel Kibinga. The communication made by Deputy Speaker Gennaro Njamumo ended with chaos as members demanded for signatures of supporting members claiming they don't meet the required threshold. MCAs want to replace Daniel Kibinga Ngariama Ward MCA with Geoffrey Murimi of Kine Ward, currently serving as chair of the Budget Committee. Those supporting the Oster led by Kerugoya Ward MCA Eric Muchina said the current leader of majority has failed in running the businesses of the assembly and he is stumbling block to some development agenda.
Kwa hii bunge mambo mingi haikuwa inaendelea kwa sababu kulikuwa na ule aliyekuwa majority leader Kibinga. Yeye alikuwa anatuwekea visingiziki, anatuwekea maukuta ndio tusione mbele na kutupiganisha tukiwa members hivi, tukiwa members wa Kenya Kwanza, kutupiganisha, yani hakuna member ama hakuna mwakilishi wodi anaweza kunywa chai na mwingine ama kukuliana. Lakini sasa tulipogundua huyu ndiye anayetupiganisha, tukachukua hatua, tukakutana.
Hii msiite mapinduzi, Ile iko, si tunataka Wajiko wa Kirinyaga apate haki yake. Hatuwezi kuwa tukilalamika kila siku, na unajua majority leader kusema ukweli ndio anachikanisha bunge na executive. Na kama mambo yale tunataka haifiki kwa executive, tunaweza kuja tukaalamu gavana wetu, na saa nyingine si yeye, ni yule ambaye hafikishi yeye ile mambo tunataka ifanyike.
Probably today we've seen that there was a communication that has been made by the deputy speaker in the absence of the speaker who was still in office. And we were so stranded on what is happening, because we thought if there is anything that on serious business should be made by the speaker himself. But today he decided to send the deputy speaker, while still seated in the office. And probably we think that something is wrong, because I thought if we want to remove anyone from the leadership, mostly we are supposed to have a Kamukonji.
Now on to our part 2 of our exclusive interview with Ugandan lawmaker Dr. Abed Bwanika. We explore Kenya and Uganda relations, especially on the business front. Kenya and Uganda have plans to extend the standard gauge railway through Malaba to Kampala, with concerns raised over the budgeting and the implications of this mega project on the two countries. Dr. Bwanika believes the two countries' budget may prove short to finance this project, but there are possible outsourced funding plans. Watch.
You know, Kenya has been for so long the first trade partner for Uganda. We do lots of business with Kenya. Kenya is the gateway in terms of Mombasa. In terms of, you have the biggest port for East Africa, and that's where our goods come from. And if we are going to boost the economy of the two countries, the transport infrastructure is very crucial.
Right.
And Kenya has done the standard gauge railway, and in Uganda we are lagging behind. And we hope that our government will find opportunity to invest in that infrastructure. It's a very crucial infrastructure, because it's going to lower down the tariffs on transport, which directly affects the doing business in Uganda, the cost of doing business. So we are looking forward to that. It is long overdue. It is a project that is long overdue. In Uganda, we have been handling the meter gauge railway,
yes.
That is ancient, and we hope that we will find money to invest into the standard gauge railway, not only to Kampala. We look forward to a standard gauge railway that will connect up to South Sudan, standard gauge railway that will connect up to DRC Congo, up to Rwanda, and up to northern Tanzania.
Right.
When we develop that infrastructure, it will heavily infringe and touch on the trade and our people. That's what we are looking for. So it's a project that we desire as a nation, and hopefully it will be faster than what we think. I was in Tanzania, and I saw their standard gauge railway. I think they have done the best in East Africa.
Yes.
In terms of the speed of the engines, I think they are doing 160 compared to Kenya here, I think, which is 120, 140. And there are issues of, when we talk about standard gauge, it's about the space of the wheels and the whatever the railway is all about. I think Tanzania, we needed to harmonize, first of all, as East Africa.
Yeah.
Our claim is that we want to integrate, and these infrastructure should have been the same, so that when a train lands from Kenya, lands on a railway in Tanzania, there are no issues. That's what we should be doing.
Right.
But when I look at what we are doing, it's not yet harmonized, and there are issues there. But on, going back to your question, in terms of funding.
Yes.
There are many options that we have as a nation in terms of funding. Most of our projects, the huge projects that have been funded by the World Bank, by the IMF, and by the Chinese, and the East African Development Bank of recent. You know, for us, we had issues in terms of the World Bank because we enacted the anti-homosexual law.
Yes.
And we are firm.
The very controversial one,
It's a controversial one, but we are firm on it. We are telling the West that these are our values, and we are not going to relegate anything in terms of our values. So
yes.
it heavily affected our funding from the World Bank. Right now, we don't have new projects that are being funded by the World Bank because of that.
Yeah.
But having said that, we are still firm. There are many other options. African Development Bank. The Chinese, their funding is always an option, but it's a very expensive funding.
Yeah, extremely.
We
are paying the price for
yes,
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Kenya here, I know that they funded your infrastructure here, and you are paying out of nose. So I know that the government, previously, the last 2 years and a half, I was on a National Economic Committee, and we are that economic committee, we are the ones that tease out and assess the loans. So there are many options. I hope government will come up with the best option in terms of, the loan, issues, the requirements. There are always so many issues involved. But as a nation, I don't think we have that cash from the budget to fund it, because it's a huge project. It's a huge project. We are doing another infrastructure that is going to connect to Kenya. We are doing an express highway from Kampala to Jinja, and then later on we think that will facilitate transport, because from Jinja to Malaba, as I said, it's our main gateway, so we must have the right infrastructure. Yeah. Yes, we need to look at the bigger picture in terms of, I know that the railway infrastructure will improve in terms of the cost of transport, the volumes, and that is a bigger issue. But for the small traders on the border, there will always be railway stations. There's no way a train can come from Nairobi and then ends in Kampala. There will be an interlink, a railway station at Malaba, at Bushia. We have been having issues which I thought that our viewers would be interested in. Issues between us, Kenya. Sometimes, we bring here many goods, milk, eggs, poultry, and sometimes there is this protectionism, which sometimes is healthy, because if there is a bumper harvest, for instance, there's a bumper production in Kenya, any government would want to protect their own citizens. But we need to reach a level as East Africa community where goods and services flow without any barrier. So as long as we still keep those small barriers, they're going to affect in the long run our trade and our economy. So we need to be firm as the East African community and agree on free trade, agree on free movement of professionalism, of services, of goods, so that a Kenyan should be able to trade in Uganda without any barrier. These are small countries; they are still tiny economies. Kenya 106 billion, Uganda 50 billion. We are not yet there. That is small money in New York. The richest man in the whole world, Elon Musk, is richer than Uganda and Kenya combined, and even Tanzania. Currencies, they facilitate trade, and also, as I've said, our trade bloc is very small. If you are going to move in terms of competitiveness. We recently brought on DRC Congo. I've seen we have brought on Somalia. Hopefully that their security settles down.
Yeah.
I think we should be looking forward to a mega entry of Ethiopia. That will be a big thing with almost going to 100 million people. So that will make our bloc a little bit viable. Because currently our bloc, we may be coming to, by 2050, maybe we'll be in over 500 people, 500 million people. But that is not the purchasing power. The purchasing power should improve in terms of the monies, the GDP, and those tools of currencies, single currency, free movement, free trade. This trade, lifting all the trade, removing the trade barriers, will facilitate our economy as a bloc when we look at it as one. And these investors who have money, they want to look at beyond Kenya. They want to look at beyond Uganda. They want to look at the bigger market. So the more we, harmonize, that's the more we bring this community together, and it becomes a viable, option for investors. And the more FDI we get, the more jobs, the more we grow our economy, because money is elsewhere. You must attract it to the economy. And some of those tools are very critical to facilitate our trade and our harmonization.
Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity and the space.
Indeed, incredible insights right there from Dr. Abed Bwanika, Ugandan lawmaker, and just putting into, thoughts, Kenya-Uganda relations so far, what we can improve in the projects like the SGR, which will be a monumental project to boost trade and just people-to-people interaction within these two neighboring countries. So in case you would love to rewatch that again, you can head over to our social media platforms, that is on YouTube, and you can watch that, as well as our part one on the interview where we spoke about, the role of the clergy, as well as activism comparison between Kenya and Uganda, putting into mind that President Yoweri Museveni has been in office for 36 years. And so you can go to our social media platforms and you'll get that interview. So coming up next, sports. The prestigious Nyali Golf Junior Series 2024 concluded on Sunday afternoon, bringing together 60 talented juniors who competed fiercely across various boys and girls categories. This vibrant event, held at the iconic Nyali Golf Club, was proudly sponsored by a number of companies in Nyali, and they have committed to an unwavering support as well as of the game. Now, the boys category, Shea Chauhan stole the show with exceptional performances dominating the podium.
We are at the coast for the last 3 to 4 years. There has been very slow. After COVID, actually, the growth of juniors was pretty slow. Now we would like to increase and bring more and more golfers, juniors, from even remote places, just to encourage them and enjoy the sport. For now, we would like to make this series an annual event, and next year we would try and make it more bigger. And the main thing is getting the kids trained professionally.
I placed second overall, and in girls overall I placed first. I'm very happy, and I want to become the future Tiger Woods.
Hi, my name is Shea Chauhan. I am 13 years old, and I was representing in my category 12 to 14. I came first place in my age group for today, first place in my overall age group. I got nearest to the pin on hole number 3, and I got the overall boys winner. I am happy to accomplish these things. It's been a very fun journey, and in the future I hope to go pro one day and playing the people.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, allow me to wrap it up at that point. Thank you very much for watching tonight. I hope that you're up to date with what is making headlines across the country. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. Good night.